We shall overcome. Shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Hey, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is midday connection. Baby, how y'all is? Come on in. The water is hot. It ain't as fine as it used to be. It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. I want to talk about what happened last night, and maybe we can make some sense of it because it is something that I need to deal with. Bears both and blessings to you and some of you who are coming in. Share this with a friend and an enemy or a cop, whoever. Especially share with a black pastor. I want to talk about this because I want to put a Sirwalterj Jones bump on it. What's up, Doc Anderson? I may not be able to be seen that much. It's kind of dark out here, but I want to put a Sir bump on it. I was quoting from Martin Luther King. So you don't know Martin Luther King. He said something. It was his speeches we thought we knew them all. We heard them all. But in 2007, this latest one was released. It was We Shall Overcome speech. And he says, and I believe it because somehow the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. He says, he quoted from Carlyle. He says, Carlyle is right. No lie lives forever. Are you talking about them jokes that met with the enemy? Yeah. No lie lives forever. He quoted from William Cullen Bryant. He says, he's right. He says, truth crushed to earth will rise again. He quoted from James Russell Lowell. He said, he's right. He says, truth forever on the scaffold and wrong forever on the throne. Yet the scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown, standing God within the shadows, keep watch above his own. This is prophetic. I think it's probably my second favorite speech from his, and I think it is apropos by what's going on today. Last night, your popular preachers met with Donald Trump. They were invited by the preacher who many of you don't like that very much. He's on to Donald Trump's cabinetry. He's the very one who lied and said that he came to Chicago. He talked to some people in Chicago and said that the gangs were going to lower the body count. Y'all remember that preacher? And he told a bold-faced lie right in front of Trump in his cabinet meeting and let America know. Everybody says, well, it looks like something is getting ready to happen in Chicago. Come to find out, he ain't talked to none of the bona fide leaders here in Chicago, and he had to turn his words another way. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about first of all, the mental state of Donald Trump and the purpose of why these men came to. Now this is getting a little dark here. I think my phone is trying to adjust to this hot sun. I hope it don't cut out on you guys because it is quite sunny here, and I don't want it to break on me. I'm going to talk about what this is. You know what this is? This really is a karate fight. It's a karate fight. You ever seen a karate movie, where the person is standing there? He might be a Bruce Lee type person, and a whole bunch of karate experts surround him. And then what they do is they leap at Bruce Lee, and he gets chopped down. And then another one jump at Bruce Lee and gets chopped down. And then 5 others, they leap at him, and then they get chopped down. Now, meanwhile, the other karate folks are watching this happen. They seeing that their brothers are being overtaken by Bruce Lee, but they keep jumping in the fight, knowing that they can't win, but they keep leaping at him. I'm telling y'all, this right here is a perfect example. They were the second group who met with him. That's what I'm saying. They sat and watched how Black America, Black Twitter, Black Facebook leaped at the first set of entertainers who met with Donald Trump. They saw that. They saw the adverse effect of it, and then they leaped again thinking the dust has been settled. And many of y'all call these entertainers coons and betrayers and all kind of Uncle Toms, and they sat back and saw this stuff, and they says the dust has settled, and they leaped back in there. And these are your respected teachers and preachers of the gospel. It's a karate fight. Let's talk about the mental state of Trump and wonder why is it that y'all, the preachers who you guys are sitting up under, have not examined that part. See, Trump lies a lot of times. He lies, they did a poll that says that he lies 7 times every day. Pete Harden, blessing to you. Trump lies 7 times every single day on the average. He claimed that he had 68 floors in Trump Tower when he have about 58. All you have to do is stand in and count it. He claimed that he was worth $100 million in the 1980s. He wound up being worth about $15 million. He lied about Obama's birthplace and got all these people believing that this man was born in Africa and would not, even when the proof was shown to him in short or long form, it didn't matter. All right? Then he says, okay, all right, he was born in America. And then shortly after, he turned and says, maybe not. He claiming he saw hundreds of Muslims celebrating on 9/11. He said that Ted Cruz's father was involved in the JFK assassinations. And he will discredit you when you expose his lies. Yes, 7 times a day based on what Yep, 7 times a day. So what is this? This is malignant narcissism. Those of you who study anything in the mental illness arena, those of you who are psychology majors understand this. This is malignant narcissism, and it has a few components to it. And because what he's doing is he bends reality to his fantasies. He bends what's reality and truth, and he bends it and twists it. And the people who have voted for him, they have been caught in the net of delusion. Understand that? So one of the factors is narcissism means I am the only one who could fix this. Understand that? Carolyn says 7.6 times a day to be exact. Okay, number one, this malignant narcissism attitude is, and some of y'all know people who are like this, some of your pastors might be like this. Number one, I am the only one who can fix your problem. Notice when he was running for office, that was the exact words that came out of his mouth, and the people believed him, and they still voted for him because he says, I am the only one who could who can fix this. Number two, paranoia, or what he did, he demonizes the press. He calls it fake news. He said that Obama bugged his office, his campaign. He said that Mexicans were rapists, okay? He oppresses minorities, and he loves to separate families, especially Mexican families, okay? Because of his xenophobia against Hispanics, especially. He would use the whole twist of immigration. But many of you don't realize that the immigration problem is not those who are trying to come over to the borders. It's those who are over here legally who overstay their visas. Oh, I don't think y'all getting this. The problem with immigration is many of the Europeans come over here with visas, but they overstay their visas. But that's not being discussed in media. And then there's a feeling of victim. He is always feeling that he has been victimized. Understanding. So notice his rhetoric when he's talking. And if somebody is being applauded or celebrated or feel like they have been victimized, he'll say, but what about me? What about me? So he'll do a tweet storm. A tweet storm. That's what this malignant narcissism is, all right? He is that narcissistic mentality also is it's like an antisocial. It's called antisocial personality disorder or sociopathy. I think that's what they call it. He routinely lies and violates, okay, and exploits the rights of other people. That's what he does. He'll violate it and then he'll exploit the rights. He also, one of the aspects of malignant narcissism is sadism, okay? That is the element of pleasure, feeling pleasure when you crush somebody. Yeah, he feels pleasure, because if you go against him, he'll begin to call you all kind of names. He'll coin these names for you, and then he'll crush you. And then when you are crushed, he celebrates the crushing. He kicks you when you're down. All right, so these type of people don't get better, they get worse. And the worst thing you can do with a person who has this narcissistic attitude is to give them a public forum, give them the microphone, or put them into office. They get worse and worse when they have political power. Understand that? So narcissistic people, they try to expand, make big their grandioses. Okay, and how do they do it? They do it by threatening war, or they might even start wars. All right. So what they do is they revel in their destruction. All right, because they also love authoritarian dictators. They love it. Notice, they love authoritarian dictators. Number one, he loves Kim Jong-un. He loves North Korea leader. He loves Russian leader Vladimir Putin. He loves it. All right. He is quite delusional, but he loves. Notice what he says when he's with them and what he says when he's away from them. Okay, it's absolutely important. I don't think he has dementia. I think he's pre-dementive. I believe it. I think he has pre-dementia. It's setting in America is seeing it. He is psychotic. I will say that. Okay, but he loves war. He loves talking about war. Listen to what he said about the fury. Listen to what he said to when he talked about the leader of Iran. Notice his language when he was talking to the Iranian leader. But if he met with the Iranian leader, he would kiss up to him. See, when he's with you in public, when the cameras are on, he is more subdued. But when he's away from you, and I'm going to bring up these preachers because I'm leading to this. Y'all pay close attention to where I'm going, because everybody's talked about it. I saw Jamal Bryant, and I saw quite other popular men and women who talked about this. But I want to bring another aspect on why this is happening, why last night happened the way it did, because some of these preachers have the attribute, some of them, of Donald Trump. All right? He is in what's called I think he has a cognitive decline. All right, because if you look at his earlier interviews, look on YouTube and you will see his earlier interviews in the 1980s, he's showing that he is well spoken. He uses full sentences, and he is so calm and cool and collect in the 1980s and part of the 1990s, okay? But today he cannot finish his sentences. He speaks of himself all the time, and he uses a lot of superlatives. It's always grandiose, it's always large, it's always great, it's always awesome, it's always big, okay? So he's in a cognitive, right? And I believe again he's in pre-dementia. I believe it. He is also a demagogue. He lies in two types of ways, all right? He lies in two types of ways. Number one, he lies as an actor on TV. He's playing the role. He's playing the political role. He's playing the actor role, so he lies purposely, and he knows he's lying. Number two, he's living in delusion. So now he lives in his own reality. So now the second part is he's lying and don't even know he's lying, because he tells so many lies. So after a while, those lies begin to transform into his truth. His truth. Understand that, all right? So what is the fight back against him on the left? What is the fight back? The fight back is they drop these words all the time: impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. Well, you can't impeach him. He has not done an impeachable thing, not legally. Number one. Number two, if he did, there's a Republican control and it's difficult to do that. The last time this happened was during the time of Richard Nixon, where both Republicans and Democrats came together in a bipartisan thing, but there is no more bipartisan. It's far left and it's far right in Congress right now, so it's almost impossible to impeach that man with the majority of what we have. Number two, the word treason popped up when he was with Russia. Unfortunately, legally, you can't impeach him. You can't fire the man or fire him for treason. Okay, he did a treasonous act, but as far as the definition of treason in the Constitution, Russia is not a declared enemy. So Russia is just a valued enemy. Okay, it is an enemy whom we proclaim as enemy, but it has not been legally proclaimed or declared. So we cannot shut Trump down for treason. Can't do it. But then the 25th Amendment pops up a lot now from the left, and that is if a president is not mentally able to continue in the duties, then it turns over to the vice president. Unfortunately, his cabinet and the vice president must issue the 25th Amendment, must say that we must adhere to the 25th Amendment. Well, that's not going to happen in this administration, so you can get rid of that. Now, let's talk about these pastors. These pastors, I believe, have the Trump effect. All right? These pastors have the Trump effect. Number one, preach against him among your base, but praise him in his face. Are y'all understanding any of this? Get this. They act just like him. In their churches, in their communities, among their family and friends, on social media, preach against him among your base, but praise him in his face. That's what happened last night. I call it I'm gonna call it a few effects. Number one, it's the Rocket Man effect. Kim Jong-un, while Donald Trump was among his base, he called him Rocket Man. He made fun of him on Twitter. He says all these things to demean him, and then when he says when Rocket Man decided to have a meeting with him, then what happened? He went over there to North Korea, and then he began to praise him. I'm trying to tell y'all, I call it the Putin effect as well. I call it the Putin effect. What did he say? He says while he's among his base here, he's very particular, and then he'll tell y'all, Putin is not, he ain't this, he ain't that. We didn't. I'm not colluding with Putin. And then he'll say some things that make you feel like he is the person who have always fought against Putin ways. Okay, until he went over there to Russia, and then he turned on his intelligence and he turned on America. And he says he used wood there, but when he got back to his base, he says, "Oh, my bad. I meant to say wouldn't." I also call it the Joel Osteen effect. What's the Joel Osteen effect? That effect is this. Joel Osteen was on CNN, MSNBC, and all these other popular stations, and they interviewed him and talked about, they always bring up the homosexual issue in churches, homophobia. They always bring that up when they talk to preachers, notice that, or they bring up the prosperity gospel. And Joel Osteen, the smiling preacher, got weakened and got jelly-backed, okay, and he began to conform. And say, they asked him hard questions, so he couldn't answer them. He says, well, I don't know. I just don't know. I can't judge these people. I have no hell to put them in. It's whatever the Bible says. And he just smiled all through that interview until he went back home to his base and he realized the outcry, the outlash, the backlash, but then he began to apologize to the people. He says, I believe in Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. I believe in homosexuality is wrong and it's a sin. And he began to preach the gospel then, but he was with his base. Never again did he go back to the media, the same media in whom he deceived. He didn't go back there and say anything that said, I made a mistake. He didn't do it. All right, so that's the Joel Osteen effect. I also call it the gremlin effect. These preachers went over there and they fed his ego. See, Mugwai, you see at the table, Mugwai, Donald Trump was sitting there as Mugwai. He was a cute, cuddly little thing come out the box. Just so friendly. Notice the table last night. They was very friendly at the table. Everybody was kissing up to everybody, and they began to feed into his ego. And they passed the mic to each one of them. Well, they didn't pass the mic, but they went from person to person to person. And all those men who at one time, I've heard them out of their own mouth, declared Donald Trump a fool, all of them began to praise this man. And as they was feeding Mugwai, they fed him after hours, and Mugwai turned into an animal. That's getting ready to happen. Now, for those of you who don't understand the process of last night, some of you says, well, there was no questions. Well, the no questions actually applied to the media, not so much those who were at the table. I watch the news every day, all day long. My TV is locked to all of them. And what happens is, every day there's a meeting of the minds with Donald Trump and the cabinet, and they allow the media in the first few minutes to make the address, and then they tell the media to leave. There are no questions from the media, and then there's a closed door meeting like he had with Putin. And now what happened at that closed door meeting, I don't know. I don't know what was discussed. I don't know if there was any questions, any hardcore issues about prison reform, education, jobs, okay, this racism thing and all these things that's happening among African Americans. I don't know if any of that was discussed, all right? But I will say Pastor Gray made a statement around, I got the message around 11 o'clock p.m. last night, and he did not go into any detail on the furthering of the meeting after media left. Maybe he'll do it today, but I can almost guarantee you none of that was brought up. No. I do not believe any of that was brought up, okay? So the witch, there was a woman who was following Paul. I think it was Silas or Barnabas, following them around town. And the Bible says they was following them around for a few days, and the witch began to celebrate Paul and Silas. And says, y'all listen to them. They're good men. Yes. Some of the pastors were told, ask no questions before the meeting, Shantae says, all right? So I can only take you by your word. But I do know that every day they usually tell the media you can't ask any questions, but those at the table probably can. So you might be right, all right? And this witch was following Paul around and praising them, praising them. And Paul and Silas ignored it until a couple of days later, Paul finally says, "Loose here, devil," and he had to cast the devil out of this woman. Why did not Paul and his contemporary, his brother, his co-worker in the gospel, why didn't they allow her to continue to praise these men and allow the people to hear the praise and follow these men? I wonder why. There was a time when Jesus was getting ready to cast out a demon and ask, "Who are you?" And he says, "We are legion because we are many." There was a time when Jesus told a demon, "Shut up, don't say nothing," because you opening your mouth in the presence of these weak-minded people could cause them to move onto your side. Because in many cases, whenever there's light and there's darkness, in many cases, darkness overtake the light. Evil communication corrupts good manners. So many of you get saved and you want to run out there now in the world and try to witness to everybody, save everybody, go back to the bar and the crack house and to the strip joints and win everybody. And before you know it, you leaving there like the sons of Sceva, abused and beat up and clothes ripped off because those demons says, "I know Jesus and I know Paul, but who are you?" And so many cases you try to go back to win folk and they overpower, they overtake you. That's what happened last night. These men had an opportunity to sit at the table, and I'm glad that they were given the opportunity, but unfortunately, when you go into the lair of what y'all might call the enemy, it's overtaken because you get overtaken by the atmosphere. It was the atmosphere of praise at that table at the time. And once you get pulled into the atmosphere of praise, if you're weak, you're going to be weak. You're going to be weak. Gray also said he went in with his mouth closed. He said, that after coming out of the White House. I know, I saw that. I'm trying to tell y'all, this is what's happening. This is what's happening, all right? So there's some issues, there is some scriptures in the Bible that I want you to take heed of. I'm not going to hold you long. 2 Kings 18:7 says, and the Lord was with him. Wherever he went, he prospered, and he rebelled against the king of Assyria and did not serve him. 2 Kings 24:1 says, in his days Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. 2 Chronicles 36:13 says, he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear allegiance by God, but he suffered his neck and hardened his heart against turning to the Lord God of Israel. Jeremiah 52:3 says, for through the anger of the Lord this came about in Jerusalem and Judah, until he cast them out from his presence, and Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. These men preach and teach from the Gospels, all right? Whether it's the Old Testament, from the Torah, the Pentateuch, the Misfit, okay, the New Testament, what have you, and they preach about the empowerment, the boldness of the Holy Ghost, but they walked into the king's palace and they bowed and they bend and they came to the table, but they were the food. They were dinner. They were not the invited guests. Dirty hands were wiped, and the integrity of others propping up the ungodly with endorsement. Exactly. They praised the creature rather than the creator. That's exactly what happened. Y'all got to understand this. And again, there were some great analogies brought out by some great men there. I like what Jamal Bryant said. All right, I like what he said about the table with no legs. I thought it was a great analogy. All right, David Rogers and quite a few, Shantae Charles, who was here, brought up some amazing points that some of you need to see. That's what happened last night. There was a whole lot of jelly roll going on, and this is the world we live in among the preachers. So who do we really have? All right, when Donald Trump and his cabinet reach out to certain people, he reach out to certain people. Understand? And I know this wind is blowing. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. My back is against the wind, so I'm trying to guide it away from these speakers. But notice that when he was running for office, he went and got entertainers. He didn't go to the NAACP and meet with them. No, he didn't meet with the Urban League. He didn't meet with the black congressional, the Congress men and women. He didn't meet with them. No, he didn't meet with prominent, bold African American leaders. He didn't do that. No, he went and got a person who were entertainers in sports and in music and in media, comedians. Okay, he got those people because in their minds, who is that says that the worst place for a black person is in the imagination of a white man? Oh man, was that D.L. Hughley who said that? The worst place, the most unsafe place for a black person is in the imagination of a white man. Yes, and so he went and got those people who they feel in their imagination, surely these people will follow them, so let me bring them in and do something about it. Now, Paula White, Eve, Donald Trump, the serpent, got Adam to once again eat of the forbidden fruit. Absolutely. And that's what's going on here, y'all. That's what's going on here. And so, y'all think this is over? Oh no, it's not over whatsoever. He made a point of noting how many members they had to influence. Shantae, that's exactly it. Prophets are sent to kings with specific instructions from God. Come on, Barbara Rainford. That's exactly it. So, these prophets, who many of them call themselves, I'm not saying those at the table there last night, but there are many who call themselves prophets. They call themselves these great men of God, men of valor. Y'all upheld them as these great men of God, and then they sat at the king's table and they could not present the message from the King of Kings. They couldn't do it. Why? Because they walked in there and they fell at, it's like let's see, the Ark of the Covenant was captured by the Pharisees, and when they captured the Ark of the Covenant, it was brought into the tent of Dagon. But Dagon could not stand in front of that ark because the ark was so strong that Dagon kept falling over. Lord have mercy. It got to the point where they keep going back in there and standing Dagon back up, and then, well, the last straw was Dagon head and arms, I think, fell off, was decapitated, and it looked like it was bowing to the ark. And they says, that's it, get this mess up out of here. Oh, who are y'all representing? Are y'all representing the Ark of the Covenant of God? Are you, when you walk into the enemy's camp? And I don't even like calling it the enemies, because I know we're one nation under God, indivisible. Matter of fact, we wasn't under God as it pertains to the writings. That under God didn't come by until the 1940s or 50s, I think it was. Who brought that under? It was one nation, indivisible. Somebody who at least recognized God put under God in there. But that's what we're supposed to be, one nation, the United States. So we're not supposed to be an enemy of the state. Unfortunately, we are fighting a civil war here, and you don't even realize you're in a civil war. If there was no Barack Obama, there would not be a Donald Trump, because Barack Obama was the answer. He was the answer to the mentality of those who live near Cracker Barrel. Those uneducated people, they said they were the ones who voted for him were the ones who were uneducated. There were those who were poor people, all right? Many of them, the ones who were bigots and xenophobes and racists, those are the ones who really voted for him. And then there were many who wanted prosperity. So many of the black pastors, many of the Pentecostal African Americans, they voted for him because what he said, what he can do for their church membership and their church buildings and things like that. Other than that, it was a lot of them were white evangelicals, because in the mind of the white evangelical is how they look at you. And that answer is Donald Trump. That answer is Donald Trump. But that answer was Donald Trump because of Barack Obama. If George Bush was getting ready to leave and he was a lame duck president and there was no Barack Obama running, we would not have had a Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was running after George Bush, Donald Trump would not emphatically be the president of the United States. He would not. Understand me? He would not. He is only the answer to hatred. Donald Trump. That's what it is. All right? And now the left is trying to find an answer to Donald Trump. Ooh-wee. Debbie Holmes, blessing to you, all right? Y'all got to see this. And if you're not seeing this, you're going to be fooled over and over again. And a strong delusion is going to hit your house, and you are going to begin to believe a lie, which is getting ready to happen in end time. You're going to believe a lie. Okay? Be careful for nothing. Be careful for nothing. Let me put this in here because it's really blowing me out of the way here. Okay, don't believe this lie. All right, he is the lash on the yep, on the white lash. Yep, that's exactly it. Yeah, he is the answer. He is the answer. That's who he is. And be careful. Be careful. So here's what I need y'all to do. Pay close attention to what's going on the TV and stop getting captivated and caught up in a whole bunch of rhetoric. That's why we have him, because we get caught up in social media and we believe anything. Oh man, we're weak. We are stiff-necked people like the Jews were, and back in the Old Testament, God had to keep dealing with them. He had to keep dealing with them because they kept here they are in Egypt. They were in Egypt in bondage for 400 years, all right? And then God finally get them out of there, and they wander in the wilderness, but their leader walked away. They thought the leader was gone. He spent too much time on the mountain. And what did those people do? They walked out of Egypt, but their minds were still in Egypt. So the leader went away, and they're in the wilderness saying, our leader was gone. So because we still have the mentality of Egypt, gather up all your gold. Okay? Let's make a calf, because these people love to worship something. That's what they are. They love to worship something. It is innate in man. It is built in man from birth to worship and praise something. People are looking for a savior. They're born that way. mankind always looks for a savior, and they're going to find him in something. You're going to have to serve somebody, the old song would say. And so they were out there and they were used to worshiping God, but then they thought that God left, so they went to worshiping the pagans. All right? Get that. So we are the same way. We have been born and raised to worship an entity, a God, whether it's the God of Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, or whether it's some demigod, or whether it is some type of sports team. We worship that. We worship individuals. All right. So we're looking for that, and all it takes is for us to be in the right mindset for someone to come by and say, "I'm your God," and they got you. That's what's happening here. All right. So those representatives of us were called to the table. And as powerful as they are among their base, they melt in his face. Will it happen again? Yes, it will. It's going to happen again. What's the remedy? You need to vote. And vote your conscience. Don't vote straight ticket. Don't vote for no party. You need to vote your conscience. All right? Vote your conscience. Number one. Number two, you need to be praying. All right? And asking God to give you a vision. Because without it, the people are perishing. So you need to pay attention to your homes. Make sure you have your finances intact. Okay? Make sure you know what your life insurance is, policies, health insurance policies are. You make sure that you don't overspend money. Stop wasting money on eating out. All right? You check your do some checks and balances, and stop being consumers and get back to becoming producers, because African Americans were producers. They were producers, and then y'all turned into consumers. And that's why the silent generation did a wealth transfer over to their children, which called the baby boomers. The baby boomers did a wealth transfer in the 1970s or 80s to the Generation X. What did the Generation X do? It's time for them to make the wealth transfer, but they can't do it. Why? Because they have no wealth. They have no wealth. What did they do with it? They spent it. They consumed it. They bought Nikes with it. And they have no wealth. So this generation, they have to create their own wealth, and what they think wealth is consumer needs. Understand that? Guess what's going to happen to that generation after them? More consuming. Trying to tell you. Yes. Shante, The Purge, I saw the first one. I need to see the second one, The Purge. I need to see that one. The first one blew me away. But I heard you talking to somebody about The Purge, this latest one, and I got to go see it. I hear it was something. Born and knowing their gifts and talents. Yeah, exactly. I did a show yesterday about chivalry, about etiquette, okay? And the people were like, yeah, I remember that. I remember when my daddy taught me that. I remember this, I remember that. You might be remembering that stuff, but are you doing it? My sons and daughters know chivalry. They recognize it. They understand etiquette. Why? Because I remember when my father taught it to me. There was no Emily Post books out there. I mean, they were out there, but my family didn't know about that stuff. They just did what they did out of instinct. Yeah, The Purge. Is that a movie? Yes, Debbie Holmes. The Purge is a movie you got to go see. It's quite relevant today. The Purge came out several years ago, and then I think they finally released a part 2 this year. Yes, but are they applying it? That's my question. Are they applying it? All right. So let me close this down. Last night, that meeting took place. I went to sleep. Woke up. Facebook blew up. My inbox blew up. And I'm like, what is this? And so I went over there. Somebody sent me the Jamal Bryant thing, and I heard him talking. I said, oh, wow, did that really happen? And then somebody sent me the ABC news conference of the meeting, and I said, that did happen. It really did happen. The first Purge. It's a prequel. Yeah, it's a prequel. Shante, exactly it. That Purge is predictive programming. Yes. All right. And I'm like, that actually happened. And I'm reading, I'm watching and hearing these men speak. Now, what the tactic of Trump is this? The tactic of Trump is, his narcissistic way is, when he have these cabinet meetings, that those cabinet meetings are about praising Trump. Get this, Trump do not read books. He don't. I don't know if he ever finished a book in his entire life. All right, he don't write books. He don't. I'm sure he got ghostwriters. Okay, so and he only watched one news station, that's Fox News, of course. They feed his babes. All right, so it strengthens the animal, mugwai. The gremlin. It feeds the animal. Every day, his meeting with his cabinet feeds the animal, because he goes down the road and say, do you have words? Their words are, we thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity. You are doing an amazing job. We praise you. We believe that the people have voted for you because they want to change, and you're making change. Okay, and he sits there with, notice he sits there with his arms crossed. All right, and if you studied body language, you will see that is the body language of a demagogue, of an authoritarianism. Okay, that is the body language of a dominant, narcissistic person who soaks in the praise. What trips you up, though, is when he gives praise to someone else. But he gives praise to someone else who is, in his mind, praiseworthy. So you have to give him praise, and then he gives you praise, and then he uses his body. Notice the woman sitting next to him. He kept touching her. He kept reaching out to pat her, because she gives him the ultimate praise, and he reaches over and he solidifies it. He seals it with a touch. Pay close attention to his actions. Pay close attention to his actions. And so the mic is passed down the road, and all of them praised him. The very ones who dug a hole and put him in it, they praised him, and he soaked it up, and they loved it. And he does that every day. It gets to the point where his cabinet have to hide the negative news from him. They have to hide these things, and they have to put things in special sauce. It's like a child when you're trying to give them medicine. What you have to do is you have to put candy in the medicine. Yes, Alveda King, that woman there. You have to give a child medicine. You have to give the child candy, because they won't drink the medicine. They won't take the pills. So you got to hide. My dog, Iris, when she was having issues, the pill, she wouldn't eat the pill, so I had to hide the pill in the hot dog. You understand that? That's the only way she was going to take her pills. And that's what's going on with Donald Trump. They have to hide the truth in syrup and chocolate and candy and praise. That's the only way he's going to read it. They have to twist it, and it becomes an alternate truth. Yes, that's what's going on. And so every morning he wakes up and says, who's going to praise me today? And they praise him, and that gives him his juice for the day. And then he goes and do whatever he does as the president, and he's seeing everybody praising him. And even those who go against him, his cabinet protects him from that. It is the greatest Ponzi scheme we've ever seen. We've never seen such an action in a president of the United States. We've never seen it. He's the first special needs president, Barrett says. Yes, there it is. I'm telling y'all, all right? So, it's easy to talk about these men and these women in that meeting and call them all kind of names. I get it. I felt just as uncomfortable as you did. I get it. They went back home, and they didn't realize, or maybe they did, they took a bold move. And here's what I think would happen. They got the invite. I think it was Marvin Winans Jr., because Jamal Bryant said Bishop Marvin Winans, but that was the son who was there. What's his name? What they call it? Bears? What's his name? What's his nickname? They call him not Bubba. What's his name? I forgot what they call him. The little nickname they gave him. I believe that when they got the call, they felt that they were going to have an opportunity to speak for their people. I believe it. When they got that call, here's my opportunity to erase what these other ones did when they came, and they came there with them. You ever had a fight with somebody and you're getting ready, or you don't like somebody, you have an art with somebody, and you're getting ready to go to the meeting, and in the car, all the way to the meeting, you're talking about all the things that you're going to say. Oh, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Oh, I'm going to put my finger in their face, and I'm going to let them know how I really feel. And then when you get to the place and walk into place, the atmosphere causes you to sink back a little bit. And then that anger, that righteous indignation, and that I'm going to tell them off, turns. I believe that's what happened. All of them felt that they was getting ready to make news in their towns. I believe that. I believe they thought, every one of them at that meeting thought that they were going to be the number one person who was going to make news. Hero. But notice what happened. When the first person says, we praise you, the rest of them follow suit. Even to the point of saying, I co-sign what this brother just said. I co-sign what this sister said. I agree with the consensus of the room. Notice that each one of them said that. What came out of the meeting? Disgust from America. Nothing about prison, really, other than talking points, but we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what they're going to do. So what's the follow-up after North Korea? Nothing. What's the follow-up after Russia? I don't know. Not much. There's always a follow-up, but what is the follow-up? We don't know. We don't see it. So, prisoners, I understand this. Then the attack on Barack Obama. I get it. Everything this man is trying to do is to erase what Barack Obama did. I get it. That's what you do. That's what you do in politics. You erase. It's not like the church where a new leader takes whatever the last leader did and elevate it and make it better. That's not this administration. No. Get rid of everything this man did, even if it means to hurt people in their pockets and in education and in everything. Hurt them. And that's what he's doing. So that he can, it's the animal kingdom. The lion comes, or is it the tiger? I think it's the lion. He comes and he sees a lioness with babies, and you know what he does? Anybody ever watched the Nature Channel? Y'all tell me. When a lion comes and see a lioness with cubs already, what do the lion do? Somebody tell me while I'm reading this. Trump is not going to be impeached. No, he's not. They don't have the power to do that. Ebony Ward, no. The lion ain't gonna protect the lion, that lioness and the lion cub. No. When a lion goes to and sees a lioness that is not his, he want to mate with that lioness. But that lioness have cubs. What is that lion going to do to those cubs? Thank you, Amber Rogers. What took y'all so long? He's going to kill them. He's going to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing. That's what this administration is doing, and that's what many of us do in church as well. Kill the seed. I'm the seed. I'm in control. And that narcissistic way is the way that I see in many of our pastors today. You better open your eyes and check it out. Yes. Now that's why blacks should stay giving. Yeah. Lifeline. Thank you, Tanya. Lifeline. Bloodshed. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. All right? Pray for these men and women of God that were there last night. pray for their minds because they're being crucified. They've been crucified by the community. I don't mean to laugh because it ain't funny, but they've been crucified. They took a chance. One said he didn't want to go. His wife told him, who's that, Gray? His wife said, you shouldn't go because they're going to see you next to a person. See, it's guilt by association. Anybody getting this? Anybody understanding this? This is guilt by association. Okay? Don't be seen. Don't be seen by the enemy. Don't be seen sitting next to the enemy. Don't. We don't know what y'all saying. So, but you got a picture next to him. Who was that? The jock. Who was that? Steve Harvey took a picture next to the man. And he lost a whole lot of listeners, didn't he? He took a picture. He walked into Trump Towers and he stood there and took a picture, and America, black America, went off. I'm embarrassed and sorry to say some churches are a joke. I know. I'm embarrassed too. Destroyed, but this has brought us closer as a nation. Yes, it has. It has woke up the African American community. I know that much. Believe black women. I guess he didn't get the memo. Shante will put you on timeout. Okay, all right. So, that's really it. That's really what I want to tell y'all. You got to look at it in an intellectual way. You got to look at the mentality. And you got to look at why is it that you felt that it was okay to meet with a man on his land. Watch this. Okay, because did they invite him over? Notice, so many have said that he was invited to these organizations, but he wouldn't show up. But he invites you to the White House and you show up, he's got you in his lair. I think we lost the war in Vietnam because we didn't know how to fight with guerrillas. Oh, those boys, they were 19 years old, and they went over there, and they didn't know how to fight guerrilla warfare. Them Vietnamese did, though, and we walked back home with our head between our, you see what I'm saying? Donald Trump met with Russia's president where? Helsinki. Russian president didn't come over here. He met over there. Oh, I don't think y'all understand this. And he went over there and was weak in his rhetoric. He was weak. Get that. It's really where the meeting place is. It's where the meeting place was. Abraham Lincoln, during the Civil War, met at what is that place? They met in the cabin with the enemy from the south. Okay, it was really all about the meeting place. Appomattox, whatever that place was. Where are the popular pastors, Debbie? I can't answer that. I'm not understanding why these pastors went to the White House in the first place. None of us understand that. We should not need destruction to come together. The shock doctrine. Yeah. Why won't any ex-presidents jump in and say anything? Do you think they don't want to make the country look weak or out of control? Bears Bolton, that is against protocol. That's against all that is etiquette. You do not, as a sitting president or a lame duck or a former president, you do not speak against the current president. There's only one president at a time, number one. Number two, you don't speak against those who post. I want to say proceed, but post you, all right? Who's after you, descendant in a sense. You don't do it. It does make America look weak and divided, and they know going in, you don't do it. You just don't. That's why Barack Obama is very careful in what he says. He got this close last week when he was, where was he? He was giving a press conference, or he was giving a speech somewhere. Where was he? And he got that close to calling Donald Trump something. All right? What are you saying, Joe? God has preachers who have I'm trying to read what you said. Who have not bowed and righteously divided the word. Unfortunately, there are the ways. Come on, Joe. We don't care for. Yes, I love that, Joe. He did not recognize her voice as authoritative. Who? Valerie? What Valerie said? What I miss what Valerie said? Let me scroll this up and get. I got a show. Oh, these husbands gonna learn today. That's why God gave them a helpmate. He totally disregarded God's warning. Yes, Valerie, that's it. Ooh-wee. That's it. Not angry at the meeting, upset that they had this opportunity and didn't use it to speak truth. Kenneth Cherry, that's it, Pastor. That's exactly the whole point. I'm glad they met. I'm glad Trump met with Putin. I'm glad Trump met with North Korean president, the leader. I'm glad. I wanted that meeting to happen. Unfortunately, I knew, though, the outcome. I knew it. You got to have an opportunity to meet at the table. Now, if I was one of those prominent leaders and got the call to meet with Donald Trump, I would have said, I can't do it. And then the backlash would have been, but Jones, you always talk about sitting at the table. Yes, but that's the wrong table. I can't sit at that table. Why can't he come to my house? I want to feed him. Why can't I cook for him? Why can't he come to my table and then we talk? As a cop-out that I always got to come to your house, but you can't come to mine. I know a lot of churches do that. Y'all have your anniversaries and your concerts, the choir concerts, all that stuff, and you always invite me over or some other churches over. You always invite us over to your thing because that's the spot. That's the spot. Y'all don't even call a church a whole name. Y'all got acronyms for y'all's churches. Okay, I mean that's all relevant and hip y'all's churches are. You always invite us over, but then when we have an event, y'all come up with excuses. We can't come. We busy. We overbooked. Well, we'll send a representative. But when y'all have something, you want my whole choir to come. That's the way y'all are. You can't come to my place. My place ain't worthy. You see what I'm saying? It is too small. It don't have a Hammond organ. I'm trying to tell you, that's what's going on with that, and I believe that's what's going on here. Trump know he can't come to Chicago. He can't come. He came this close to Chicago. He was in downstate Illinois somewhere. He was that close, but he had to go down there where the folk live by Cracker Barrel. They received him. He could not come nowhere close to Chicago. His vice president did. Pence was here a couple weeks ago, secretly, but he was here. Trump can't come here. He ain't coming to your table. He afraid you're going to poison him. So if they'd asked me to come, I would have said, I can't come. I can't come. I just can't do it. I want to meet with the man, but I can't meet on his terms. I can't do it. Can he meet us somewhere else? Preferably my place, or let's go somewhere. We go overseas. Let's go to Europe somewhere if you want to, but I'm not meeting you at the White House. I'm not going to do it. Because now there's rules and regulations and boundaries and restrictions and all that stuff. No, you got the upper hand. You will always have the upper hand. I'm not meeting you at your lair. That's what I would have told the people. I can't do it. Now, if my people would have insisted that I come, I would have gotten there, I'd have came, sat among the brother and the sister, and when they said there are no questions, I would have said, here's my Kojic Baptist finger. I gotta go. Is there a plane for me? Can I get on the US 2? Because the president he got his little thing, but can I get a US 2? I know you got the US 1. All right, I'm on the 2. Or call me an Uber or a Lyft. I can't be here. Where's the door? Exit stage left. Is there a window that I can climb out of? What about the rooftop? All right, because I can't be in this meeting. Because then, what power, what persuasion, I'm coming here for a photo op? Not going to happen. Nope. Barrett says I have to sit in the hallway. Yep. Soon as they says no questions, I would have said exit, stage left. I got to go. I don't want to be caught in this meeting. No. And that's what happened there. And that's why y'all are a little upset about it. We all a little upset about it. And these men and women are going to hear about it for a while. Just like that brother who sang at this you whatever it is, he sang that song come Sunday, and echoes was all over the place. He says he got with the sound man and said, I got a great idea. Man, this gonna kill him. This gonna kill him. You know what? Dude, I'm gonna say when Sunday comes in honor of Darrell Coley, but I'm gonna do something Darrell Coley couldn't do. What's that? Man, listen, you got one of them reverberation things on that thing. Yeah. I want you to turn that up when I go, ee! When I scream, I want you to turn that up. And then I'm going to punch the wind when I do that, because I want the people to get with me. And I'm gonna shake myself like Samson did. Just shake myself. The Philistines are coming, and I just shake myself. So I'm going to go, ee! And I want you to hit that echo button. That's the greatest idea. I mean, folk going to talk about this for weeks to come. Oh, I'm going to get all kind of recording contracts. And there he was. He grabbed the mic. And Sunday never came. Yeah. It never came. I'm still waiting on Sunday to come. All I hear is bathroom echoes in my shower. Great idea. He destroyed it. And now his name is Mud. Thousands of people have seen the thing, and they're laughing at his performance. He had a great idea. That's why I released Fergie. I released her from the penitentiary of public opinion. I released Fergie. It is being proclaimed and announced and decreed and declared, Fergie, you are now released from the scandal of the national anthem. You shall be released, and if a sister had been taken into a fault, ye who are spiritual, restore such one. I restore you, Fergie. Go, my daughter, and sin no more. You have been released. I speak it, and my sector, I'm sir, I've been knighted by the Queen. I put my holy sector on you. Go. And speaketh to the black eye, to the peas, and tell them, I'm home again. Yeah, I'm home again, because this new brother takes the crown. He is the new reigning champion of messology. That's in the Bible, messology. That's what's going on, okay? All right? So, y'all pray for the brothers and the sisters who met with Donald Trump. They're going to have a hard time with their families and friends for the next few weeks, maybe months, maybe years to come. It will be remembered, I will say that. And the Trump administration is going to try another meeting, and the next group is going to say, heck to the no. Heck to the no. And this is a family show, so I had to insert the heck. Heck to the no. To the no. Why you don't want to go? Hey, wait a minute. The first group went in there and was castrated. That's true. That second group saw them being castrated and says, I'm going to jump in there like a karate team and just overtake them. I'm going to overtake them like David overtook the Philistine tall guy. Okay. So the second group went in there, and Trump says, Paula White I know. Sirwalterj I know. But who are you? And they all were slayed at the table, and they perished. And y'all now he calling this third group in. Heck to the no. To the no. To the no. I ain't going in. No. I'm going to get that call after this show. Trump and the administration going to call me, and I'm going to say, heck to the no. To the no. You don't want to meet with your Donald Trump? Heck to the no. Yeah. Now, and if they don't understand that, I'm going to pass it to Cedric Ford or somebody over here who can insert the word hell. Because I just can't say it's a family show. It's Midday Connection. But don't catch me at 10 o'clock tonight. I can insert the right word. I got to go do Sunday school at 5 o'clock tonight. I got my Sunday school superintendent coming in and teach for 1 hour. And tonight, Lady Rochelle will be out here in this park talking about sex with your mate who's having physical problems. You got an ailment and the sex stopped? We're going to talk about it tonight. Get ready. Get ready. I'm coming in late, but yeah, be kind and rewind. I loved it, y'all. Sure enough, I do. Pray for my strength in the Lord. Pray for these pastors. Pray for the administration. Pray for Donald Trump and his administration that the Lord save them. Pray for the peace of Israel. Pray for your own house. Get out there and make you some money. Produce some products. Let us buy it. Bring up Wall Street, Black Wall Street again. Live a good life. Die. Get into heaven. And let's do this all over again and have a party. All right. I love it, y'all. Hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, hit the bing. Hit the bell button. Share it with everybody before Facebook and YouTube take it down. Because me and Shantae, we on the that don't talk about Donald Trump list. This might not, Facebook may not share this. It's going to process, but then the demagogues in Facebook world who lost $100 billion in the stock market the other day, they're going to look at this and say, this says Donald Trump. And there's a black man behind that screen. No, don't share that. No, don't process that. Put that in file 13. What's file 13? That's the garbage. So what's the Jones Show?